Today we're going to do the fuel filter on this here LB7. Not something that's talked about much. Fuel filters on most vehicles. On the diesel engines is a little bit more important since the fuel is less refined and sometimes you can get water in it. So these here, right here, this is an AC Delco TP3018, and as you can see right inside there is the fuel filter. It's recommended to change this probably every 10 to 15,000 miles. So typically for most guys, every second or third oil change is probably a safe bet. Especially on the LB7 that has a very time-consuming job for injectors, which I've already done once. You definitely want to try to preserve them as long as possible. So a fuel filter is relatively cheap. I think the best price you can find is $30. Usually they're like $35, $40 plus shipping on online sites, but sometimes the parts stores will match. If you say, oh, I can find this cheaper on Rock Auto, sometimes they'll match it. I think that's what they did for Advance, did for me on this particular unit, because they were going to charge me almost double. It was going to be like 55 bucks or something, but they ended up charging me 30, which I'm not going to complain with. So the only tools you'll need are this guy right here. I like this for just popping off the clips, makes it real quick and easy. Get that at any little parts store. I know there's a specific GM one, but I got that from my local parts store. And then this is my oil filter wrench. Happens to be the exact same size you need for the fuel filter, and that's all you're gonna need here. I suppose you could do it this way. I don't think that's worth the effort that's needed, although I bet I'm sure it's possible to do it that way. I usually do it where I pull off the inner fender liner, which on these trucks is pretty easy compared to the 400 series trucks of the generation before, because these are nice plastic and moldable and pliable. So let's pop these off real quick. Once this is off, you get a nice view of basically the whole right side of your engine, and you got your fuel filter sitting right here. So it's really pretty easy to get out. Just gotta make sure these wires right here, these are actually connected on a clip to your top of your fender well. So make sure you unclip those before yanking it out, or else you might break some wires. Let's see what those are for. Those are probably, okay, those go to my AC dryer. So take your wrench, get it up and around, and turn. There it is. Full of fuel, so it will be a little heavy. There it comes. If you plan to keep your Duramax for any length of time, grab one of these from Merchant Auto, or a couple sources at this point. This is your filter wrench for the water separator at the bottom. As you see, a new one comes like this. It's open. Comes with a couple O-rings that you need, but you need to transfer what you got down here over to your new one. And so typically this is your water separator that's got a plug. The pigtail itself someone cut, and so my truck throws a permanent code for the heater, which is right there, or the water and fuel sensor, which is right there. And apparently finding just the pigtail for that is very difficult because the dealer doesn't sell it. They want to sell me an entire harness. Obviously I don't need a new harness, and I'm not paying $700 for a new harness or whatever it costs. And so what I did, I just deleted it. I used the MA delete thing, and it's been working just fine for me. But let me tell you, the first day I did this, I didn't have one of these wrenches. It makes quite a difference when you have it. Just be ready to for the spillage. So here's a new one. The bottom's open, top's open. I need to make sure I install my two seals. There's two of them. The big one's for the top. The little one is for the bottom. This $10 for this tool is money well spent if you doing this quite a bit. Whoa there. So this will make a little bit of a mess. So take off the old O-ring. Get a little bit of fuel on your new one as lubricant. Put it on and install on your new one. Okay, and then take this, give it a good snug. Okay, now you got your top one. There it is. I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit. Now, if you've got some leftover diesel fuel sitting in a can, you probably want to pour a little bit in here. You know, get it halfway full or so, just to make your priming process shorter. Right now I don't have that, so I will have to prime it. But this is ready. Whoops. As long as this stays on and in the groove, this is ready to be reinstalled on the truck. Go like this. You gotta hold it at the right angle and then spin it. Sometimes finding the right angle is a little challenging. There we go. Alright, that's on there snug, just because this is kind of an important thing. I give it an extra quarter turn. There we go. Now what you got to do is use your primer button right here and start pumping. Okay, now this is typically your bleeder, but that's got a rubber O-ring on it, so unless you have a new O-ring, not usually the best to do that. What I like doing is bleeding it out the front port right here. So this is a fuel bleed port. If you press the little knob in there a little bit, it'll bleed. Have a rag ready, because it will spill if there's fuel ready. Oh. Okay, see that air purge? Spitting bubbles. More. There's straight fuel. Once that air leaves and it's straight fuel again, you should be ready to fire up your truck. Do a couple more pumps just to make sure it's full, but then you should be ready to go. Put your fender back on. Don't lose your clips, and then everything should be fine. Alright, that's back in. I've got my cap on. I repumped it after I bled out all the air out of here. And then at this point you start the truck. If it don't start, keep bleeding from right there. Pump in, bleed, pump, bleed until it starts. And that's all there is to it. Should take you definitely under an hour. If you've done this more than once, it'll probably only take you 20 minutes. But for the first time person, I guess it depends on how long it's going to take to get those clips off, probably. But shouldn't be too bad. But definitely something you want to do if you have a Duramax, okay, with a regular part of your regular maintenance. So, next video is sponsored by bras250.com. You want a bike? Hop on there, get one. This tool might be helpful to help you know when you should change it next. I don't know, typically, like I said, 2 to 3 oil changes is probably about right. But depending on your fuel quality, it will determine how fast that filter fills up. Kennedy Diesel out of Wisconsin says they've seen it fill up as quick as 2,500 or 2,500 miles and all the way up to 15. And the only way to really know for sure is to get their gauge right here, or one similar to it. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate what this is. Now I just changed this and I drove it back home from where I was working on it. So it's probably got, this filter's probably got 50 miles on it now. And so all this is, it takes your nice test port right there and you just plug this in. Alright, you know what's on there. Pull up this tab a little bit so we can pull the lock free and then give a nice little tug so everything coming off. So that's on there. Right now with the motor off, this has been sitting overnight showing 0 psi. If your filter's new without a lift pump, so stock system, you should see 2 to 3 inches of vacuum, and that means you've got a new filter. And then I'd say do this after your original one, just so you can get a baseline so you can see how it goes up. Once it hits 5 or 6, probably it's time to change your filter. Engine's running. So if you had a lift pump, this would be in the positive and you'd be showing your whatever you have it set at, 6 psi, 8 psi, however many it's set at. But this is just a test tool. It's not something that we permanently run on the truck when you're driving it, or when you're would be interesting to have on a dyno though, if you're dynoing a stock vehicle. But this is a diagnosing tool, and if you're working on, you plan to keep your truck for a long time, or if you are shopping, you have just a lot of Duramax that you see, definitely a worthwhile tool, just so you can tell if there's a leak in the system, if it's not holding 2 inches, or it helps give you an idea of how healthy your fuel system is. Right now you can see I'm holding 2 inches just fine, so my filter's good, I got no air leaks, so my truck's ready to roll in the fuel system. So just a quick little tool to help make sure you're back to square one, back to 0 once you put on a good filter. So thanks for watching.